Welcome everybody to a look at Imprint collection number 297, and it is 1986's Let's Get Harry. So this is directed by Stuart Rosenberg, who did two completely different kind of quality of films as far as I'm concerned. They're really rather quite underwhelming Amityville horror, and they're really rather excellent prison drama, Cool and Hand Luke. So yeah, I give Amityville Horror 2 out of 5 and Cool Hand Luke 4.5 out of 5. So couldn't be really any wider apart in terms of quality between the two of them. So yeah, kind of wasn't sure what this film would be like in comparison. But yeah, it's an adventure film, clocking in 102 minutes long. Stars the likes of Thomas F. Wilson, who was in the Back to the Future trilogy as Biff, as well as the Informant and Action Jackson. Also stars Rick Rossovich, who was in the likes of The Terminator, Top Gun, and Navy SEALs, which was quite bad to be honest. Also stars Mark Harmon, who was in The Presidio, as well as the 2003 remake of Freaky Friday, as well as Gary Busey, who was in the likes of Point Break, Lethal Weapon, Predator 2, Under Siege, and Silver Bullet. And finally, Robert Duvall, who I've seen in 25 other films. Favourites with him being the likes of Apocalypse Now, Falling Down, Open Range, and Deep Impact. So Harry Burt Jr. and the American ambassador are kidnapped by Colombian drug dealers seeking the release of some colleagues who are jailed in the US. When the US government refuses to intervene, Harry's friends decide to take matters into their own hands. So, yeah, this is overall a solid effort that has a surprisingly stacked cast for something that hasn't had a Blu-ray release until this year and had apparently a very small opening in the US and apparently didn't make much money at all. So, surprisingly stacked cast considering all of that. But even though this isn't doing anything particularly bad, it is also rather unremarkable in its execution, which might explain why this, as until now, hasn't had a wide physical release. Apparently, I don't think it was even on DVD. I think the last time this was released was probably on Laserdisc. So, yeah, quite cool that we've actually got it on physical release. So now, that said, though, the cast is good. The action scenes are well executed. The production is convincing, especially the on-set, on location stuff. Does generally look like Colombia, but could easily just be Mexico as a stand-in. We saw that with Green Ice, where they were quite clearly not in the country that they said they were, but it was convincing enough to pass as the country that they say they are. The second half of this is well paced. It is generally engrossing. The score is well done, and it has some effective tension, especially in the final act. So, yeah, it's definitely better than the Amityville Horror, although it's by no means going to be as well known as that film. But it is still a step below the likes of Cool Hand Luke. But considering what it could have been, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot more exploitation heavy. It's not. Um, yeah, you could have had a lot of a far worse, a far kind of more exploitation heavy, more cheap looking film. Because on the whole, the production, the cinematography, it all look really rather high quality for a film that is, like I said, fairly unknown, not had much of a wide release. And the director himself actually was dissatisfied with a part of this film that was kind of taken out of his hands. Basically, Mark Harmon's character is Harry Burt Jr. He was becoming massively popular when this film was released, when this film had pretty much finished production. And because of his popularity, the production company wanted to basically give him more scenes so they could then consequently put him on the poster as a big name. So basically, the originally him as Harry Burt Jr. wasn't meant to be seen until the final act when his friends come and rescue him. The production company wanted to put more scenes in, so they basically depicted the kidnapping of him and the ambassador, and then also had some scenes of him being held captive and whatnot. So, yeah, Stu Rosenberg was consequently not happy with that, so he tried to disassociate himself with the production, and therefore the film was released with the director named Alan Smithy. Now, if you know anything about films, you'll know that pseudonyms are common when directors aren't happy with the way of a final product for a film. And yeah, a lot of Alan Smithy credited films are god awful. You're looking at like a Hellraiser sequel, I think's in there. And you got all sorts of really rather weird stuff like Birds 2 is also in there, I believe. So yeah, typically an Alan Smithy film is seen as quite a like a death knell for a film being any quality at all. But to be honest, this has one of the highest average ratings on Letterboxd for an Alan Smithy film. I think there's only one other that is higher than this, and yeah, I on the whole was impressed by it. Given, you know, as you can see, it does say directed by Alan Smithy. So, you know, considering the kind of quality of films that usually have that name attached, this could have been a lot worse. So yeah, on the whole, pretty good. Unfortunately, though, like the likes of Cold Steel and Ravagers, this has no extras whatsoever. Really not sure why Imprint are, you know, putting these films out with nothing at all. Could have been a trailer there, could have been at least some audio commentary of some sort, but even if you can't get interviews with any of the people that are involved, you could have at least, you know, put a trailer or an audio commentary by someone on it, and it just kind of feels a little bit lazy. Now, granted, not all of their releases as of late have been like that. The Green Ice obviously had a lot of extras on that, and another one we've yet to look at, The Blind Swordsman Satucci, that also has extras on it, but that's 3 out of 5 that don't, so it's not a particularly great ratio. But nonetheless, 3 out of 5 for this film. So yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it if you've seen it, but I guarantee most people haven't that are watching this. But if you're into your kind of adventure films, you know, your 80s kind of adventure films that have a rather stacked cast of people that you might not necessarily know the name of, but you'll definitely go, oh, it's that guy, then yeah, you might well get some enjoyment out of it. But I, on the whole, enjoyed it for everything else that it was kind of offering, even if it's not remarkable or perfect. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.